The events outside were naturally unknown to Lu Fan and his group. At this time, they had already entered the dungeon instance. After entering the dungeon, they were transported directly to a desert wasteland, where there was endless emptiness all around and nothing was visible. Fortunately, although it was a desert, it was not too hot, probably because there was no scorching sun above. Lu Fan and the others opened their mission panel to see. Sure enough, there was a new dungeon mission update. Dungeon instance, Death Desert Cease, Nightmare required participants 46 people, recommended level 70, clear, bet find lost treasure $0. 1. Lu Fan pondered over the words hidden dangers and quicksand vortex in the mission panel. Every dungeon had its own backstory. These stories were not only interesting, but also provided clues about the nature of the dungeon. Lu Fan felt that the dangers in this dungeon surely was not limited to just monsters. Meanwhile, beside him, Tao Xiaoman clearly had different concerns. Her eyes sparkled as she excitedly said, "This dungeon mission isn't about killing a boss! It's about finding a lost treasure!" Looking at the description, the treasure chest contains the wealth of an entire kingdom. If we can find it, wouldn't we become super mega rich? You only think about getting rich. Qin Chu lightly tapped Tao Xiaoman's head, saying helplessly, "You should know that even if we find the so-called lost treasure, we won't get wealth equal to an entire kingdom." Qin Q retorted, "This is a dungeon, at most we'll just get some normal dungeon rewards." At this point, Jian Ying nodded and said, "Right? This is ultimately a dungeon. It definitely won't be too different from the past dungeons we've been to. Although they say we're to find a lost treasure, but this lost treasure will definitely be guarded by the final boss. We'll most likely only get the clear reward after we kill the final boss. So, in the end, it's just a normal dungeon." Seeming much more familiar with everyone now, Jian Ying spoke more than before. Hearing Qin Chu and Jian Ying say this, Tao Xiaoman's enthusiasm diminished. Lu Fan smiled and said to everyone, "Q Chu and Jian Ying are right. We definitely won't get rewards that rival the wealth of an entire kingdom. Still, we have to take into consideration that this is a level 70 nightmare dungeon. What's more, we're going to be the first group to clear it. The clear rewards definitely won't be small." "Oh yeah!" Tao Xiaoman's eyes immediately lit up again. "That's right! This is a level 70 nightmare dungeon instance that's being cleared for the first time. The rewards must be generous!" Het, let's hurry. Unlike secret realms that can only be cleared once, dungeon instances can be cleared multiple times. We need to get all the possible rewards from this dungeon as quickly as we can. Speaking thus, Tao Xiaoman drew out her sword first and continued. "Lu Fan, later have Xiao Q cast some Jade Shield and Jade Blessing on me. Today, I won't hold back. I will let you see how much I have grown during the time you were away." Lu Fan looked at her. Calculating the time, he had not run dungeons with her and the others for about 2 months now. Naturally, he would find it hard to estimate how much stronger they have gotten. Lu Fan knew that everyone's level had increased by 2 levels, showing that while he was away, everyone had been working hard on leveling up, improving from their previous levels. However, unlike Lu Fan, who had returned from the far north and the national trial with exponentially increased strength, their growth was more limited. Jian Ying and the others had certainly gotten stronger, but their improvement would still be limited. Seeing Tao Xiaoman so confident, Lu Fan became interested and said he really wanted to see how strong she had become. Just then, the sand in front of everyone began to move, forming a small vortex. This strange phenomenon caught everyone's attention. Under everyone's gaze, a skeletal hand holding a broken machete crawled out from the sand vortex. It appeared to be one of the king's guards from the dungeon's backstory, who had died in the desert and eventually turned into a monster. This skeleton monster was called the Tyrant's Attendant, a level 65 elite monster that Lu Fan did not even consider worth noticing. However, Tao Xiaoman was very excited, shouting that she would handle this monster. As she spoke, Tao Xiaoman opened her left palm, immediately forming a water sphere which she threw. This water sphere skill looked familiar to Lu Fan. He recognized it as a skill he had previously seen used by the South Country representative, Yasenglai, which had quite good crowd control effects. When the water sphere hit the tyrant's attendant's skeleton, it immediately expanded, successfully encasing and controlling the tyrant's attendant. Tao Shaman was very proud as a clear spring began flowing along her sword blade. Hanky smiled beside her and said, "This is from the Splitting Waterfall/skill book that Tao Z got. It was quite the bargain at the university's auction house a few days ago. She's been using it often when clearing dungeons. It's quite effective." And after Han K finished speaking, Tao Xiaoman brought her sword down. Immediately, spring water gushed from her blade, transforming into a waterfall that rose to the sky that fell like a whip when she slashed the monster's body. While the attack power had yet to be seen, the spectacle of this skill was already impressive. The splitting waterfall slash was definitely one of the highest damage-dealing skill for the water sword god profession. When it hit the tyrant's attendant's skeleton, it broke through the water sphere's crowd control effect and forced it back several steps. However, while Tao Xiaoman's series of moves looked fierce, the actual results were negligible. The tyrant's attendant's skeleton barely took any damage. Lu Fan laughed heartily after seeing this. "Is that all? Seems like you haven't even managed to scratch it." Tao Xiaoman blushed and angrily retorted, It's a skeleton. Where can I possibly leave a scratch? Besides, it's a level 65 elite monster. I'm only level 32. It's normal that I can't break through its defenses. Didn't I ask to have Xiao Q cast Jade Blessing on me? With that buff, I can defeat it in seconds." A Lu Fan deliberately quipped back. "But that would be thanks to Xiao Q's Dragon Q attack, not your skill."
What?
Tao Xiaoman's face reddened further. She gritted her teeth, unable to think of any rebuttal. She could only turn to Han K for help. "Sister Han, look at Lu Fan! He's making fun of me!" Han K gave Lu Fan a stern look and scolded. "Fanner, why are you bullying Tao Z?" Lu Fan was speechless, realizing that Tao Xiaoman had found a true pillar of support. One he could not go again, though this was just like before. Whenever she could not win an argument, she would go complain to his auntie. I just hadn't summoned Xiao Kui to give her buffs before she rushed in to attack. Tao Xiaoman put her hand on her hip, appearing unwilling to let the matter drop. "Humph! You clearly did it on purpose, wanting to see me make a fool of myself." At this moment, Chin Q helplessly asked, Can you all show a little respect for the monster in the dungeon?" She said this because the tyrant's attendant was now charging toward them. Just as Chin Chu finished speaking, two swords appeared beside the silent Jian Ying, the ocean freezing sword and the army breaker sword. Jian Ying pointed them forward, and both swords flew toward the tyrant's attendant one after another. The ocean freezing sword arrived first. Though its power was ordinary and was knocked away by the tyrant's attendant's blade, at the moment of contact, it released a burst of cold air. This covered the tyrant's attendant's skeleton in frost, drastically reducing its movement speed. Soon after, the army breaker sword arrived. Its huge blade sliced through the air, distorting it. This was clearly the army breaker's sword skill, Mountain Quake, being activated. The army breaker sword, carrying the might of this skill, struck the tyrant's attendant. The massive damage sent the skeleton flying, nearly falling back into the sand vortex. This strike was far more powerful than Tao Xiaoman's splitting waterfall slash. The tyrant's attendant's skeleton clearly had several ribs broken. Furthermore, its rusty machete now had a huge nick in it. Being able to damage a level 65 elite monster showed that Jian Ying's strength had indeed improved significantly, which made Lu Fan view her with newfound respect. That was not all. At this moment, Chin Q also waved her staff, releasing a skill. Countless points of light appeared around her. These light points flew into the air, seemingly random, like a starry sky. the points of light's brightness intensified, instantly shooting out numerous thumb-sized light beams that chaotically struck the tyrant's attendant as it was trying to get up from the ground. While each light beam was not particularly powerful, when all of them hit a single monster, even one of a high level could not fully withstand it. It caused the monster to continuously howl in agony. Moreover, since the tyrant's attendant was an undead-type monster, Qin Chu's holy light magic naturally dealt additional damage. Therefore, this skill's damage to the tyrant's attendant was no less than Jian Ying's mountain quake. Lu Fan was slightly surprised. The damage difference was clearly visible after she changed her profession to Inquisitor. Her damage output had skyrocketed compared to before. Although Tao Shaman had not dealt much damage to the monster earlier, the water sword god profession was meant to be balanced. The fact that her skills could crowd control such a high-level monster at half its level was already quite impressive. The other members of Lu Fan's team were clearly individually strong. Seeing her two sisters perform so brilliantly, Tao Shaman naturally did not want to fall behind. She stopped arguing with Lu Fan and thrust her sword into the ground, casting another skill. From her blade, clear spring water flowed out, seeping into the sand. Beneath the tyrant's attendant, which Qin Qiu was keeping occupied, a spring suddenly burst forth. Its water flowed like chains to wrap around the target. This was clearly another crowd control skill. The tyrant's attendant was already agitated from Qin Qiu's skills, and now, with another skill applying a debuff effect, it became even more maddened. However, just as it was about to struggle free, Jian Ying silently controlled the ocean-freezing sword to attack, targeting not the tyrant's attendant, but at the spring water at its feet. As the ocean-freezing sword plunged into the spring water instantly froze, dramatically increasing the crowd control effect of Tao Shaman's skill. The water chains transformed into ice chains, firmly binding the tyrant's attendant. Even though it was a level 65 elite monster, it could not break free for the moment. Lu Fan was amazed. He never expected that Tao Xiaoman and Jian Ying's skills could work together so well. It was clear that during his absence, the team must have been frequently practicing in dungeon instances. Without Lu Fan to carry them, they had developed such better teamwork and coordination. Qin Chu's damage output far exceeded that of ordinary mages. Tao Xiaoman and Jian Ying's coordination allowed them to utilize the ocean-freezing sword and water sword god profession characteristics, providing even stronger crowd control. Under the three's combined efforts, the tyrant's attendant struggled to move. Despite being many levels higher than Jian Ying and the others, it ultimately could not escape the fate of being killed. After killing the tyrant's attendant, Tao Xiaoman was very proud. She waved her sword at Lu Fan and said, "How about that? Isn't our teamwork perfect?" Lu Fan nodded and smiled. "The coordination is indeed great and everyone's strength has improved significantly. You're all only level 32 or 33, yet you can kill a level 65 elite boss without taking damage. All of you must be unmatched among Dragon Capital University's freshmen." "Of course," Tao Xiaoman proudly said. "If we have another freshman exam, the three of us teaming up would definitely place in the top 3. Qin Chu was not as boastful as Tao Xiaoman, though. Even so, she still proudly said, "When you weren't around, we even cleared the poison spider forest with a senior sister that Han Qi knows. Although it took a long time, we eventually succeeded in clearing it." "You cleared the poison spider forest?" Lu Fan was very surprised. The poison spider forest was a level 45 terror dungeon instance. Usually, it was only attempted by a full team of fourth-year students who averaged around level 50. For Jian Ying and the others to attempt this dungeon at level 30 with Han Qi, who had a lifestyle-specialized profession, and actually clear it, this news would definitely astonish many at Dragon Capital University. Even at Dragon Capital University, there probably were not many teams who could accomplish this. Seeing Lu Fan being so surprised, all three women felt proud. Jian Ying even showed a faint smile and said, "After you left for the far north, we had a discussion." As you grow stronger, we, as your teammates, need to work harder to get stronger too. Otherwise, we would just continue to hold you back. So these past 2 months, we've been working hard every day to level up and learn. But Jian Ying looked at Lu Fan's level and smiled helplessly. It seems like the gap between us is still getting bigger. Seeing Jian Ying's disappointment, Lu Fan could not help but feel touched. Given Jian Ying's independent personality, it was quite significant for her to openly express wanting to work hard in keeping up with Lu Fan's pace. Their team had strong cohesion, with everyone wanting to maintain it. It was different from teams that disbanded due to power differences between members. Truthfully, the strength gap between Lu Fan and them had become ridiculous. It was ridiculous at the start, but it had become even more so. Even so, Lu Fan had never thought about leaving the team to go solo. He smiled and said, "I've seen how hard you've all worked. Actually, my high level now is because I participated in the national trial and received a ton of rewards. Look, no need to worry, I currently have 10 dungeons. I also don't have anything else to do for a while, so we can just keep clearing these dungeons together. I believe the level gap between us will get smaller and smaller over time." Lu Fan's words warmed everyone's hearts. However, Tao Xiaoman was not one to show being touched. She raised her fist at Lu Fan and said, "Not just smaller. One day, I'll definitely surpass you." My profession is balanced in the early stages without many highlights, but it has great potential and will become a true all-rounder later. When that time comes, I'll challenge you to PvP. I'll string you up to beat you up. Just as Tao Xiaoman finished speaking, there was movement from the sand vortex in the distance. This time, 3 tyrants' attendants crawled out. Lu Fan glanced at these 3 monsters and casually drew out his underworld serpent's cry. He used Summon Divine Arrow to enchant it with Magma Burst, then casually shot an arrow. The arrow transformed into a ball of magma, landing precisely between the 3 tyrants' attendants. Soon after, a pillar of fire shot towards the sky, engulfing the monsters. In an instant, the 3 tyrants' attendants were burned to ash by the magma and flames, with barely any resistance. The flames took a long time to dissipate. At the monster's location, only a still burning magma pool remained, with surrounding sand grains glittering. They had clearly turned to glass shards by the intense heat. Such a shot left all the women present stunned. They knew exactly how strong a tyrant's attendant was from their fight earlier. Yet, such a high-level, high-attribute elite monster was instantly killed by Lu Fan's casual arrow? Looking at everything before her, Tao Xiaoman almost bit her tongue. Lu Fan put away his underworld serpent's cry, picked his ear, and asked Tao Xiaoman, "Tao Zi, what were you saying earlier? I think I heard something about stringing up someone to beat them up." "Well." Tao Xiaoman's expression became interesting. "No, nothing! I didn't say anything just now." Everyone burst out laughing. Hancake covered her mouth and chuckled, looking at the distant sand vortex, and said, "Fanner, it looks like more monsters are about to spawn. Stop teasing them and let's focus on clearing them out." "En. All right." Seeing the true bosses speak, Lu Fan stopped teasing Tao Xiaoman and got serious. He planned on releasing his dragons to get a share of the experience points here. The girls were already quite familiar with Xiao Ye and Xiao Kui. After all, the 2 dragons had been living and eating with everyone for some time, eating until their bellies were round and rolling their eyes at the dinner table. Xing Chen had also gone through many poison spider forest runs with everyone. Although she was aloof and basically would not let anyone touch her, everyone recognized her. As for the last dragon, Bao Bao, Lu Fan had only mentioned him, never actually showing him to everyone. After all, Lu Fan understood Bao Bao too well. Just like a Tibetan Mastiff, he would attack anyone except Lu Fan. For some reason, he was incredibly fierce and aggressive. How could Lu Fan possibly dare to let him out at home? If he bit his auntie, that would be a huge problem. So, after readily releasing Xiao Ku Xiao Yi and Xing Chen, Lu Fan was hesitant about whether to release his last baby dragon Bao Bao. Instead, Qin Q actively asked Lu Fan, "Lu Fan, didn't you say you have a fourth pet dragon? Since we are leveling up, why not let it come out to gain some experience points?" And after much hesitation, Lu Fan smiled bitterly at everyone and said, "I didn't want to release him because he is a little too aggressive. I still can't fully control him." King Q laughed when she heard this. "It's still your pet. How could it be uncontrollable? I see Xiao Kui and Xiao Ye are both very well behaved. Although Xing Chen is a bit aloof, she's still very obedient when it matters." "You say that because you don't know what happened right after hatching." Lu Fan was about to explain, but then thought that the main purpose of running this dungeon instance was to level up Bao Bao. Although Bao Bao is reckless, he still follows my commands, so he most likely will not hurt them. After more consideration, Lu Fan agreed. "Never mind, I'll summon him to show everyone. But all of you must stand back. Best be careful to ensure he doesn't bite you." Hearing Lu Fan say this, everyone's curiosity was thoroughly aroused. The previous 3 pet dragons were all well behaved and deeply loved by the girls. Just how strange was this 4th pet dragon's personality that even Lu Fan was reluctant to summon him. Lu Fan pursed his lips and drew out a summoning array. When the array formed, thunder immediately roared from within. The impressive atmosphere startled Jian Ying and the others. Blue, purple lightning ravaged within the array, as if the other side of the transport array was connected to a sea of lightning. With a thunderous boom, a not-so-big figure flew out, carrying countless crackling thunderbolts wherever it went. "Whoa! What a cool baby dragon!" Tao Xiamen unconsciously blurted out, eyes wide as she watched Bao Bao fly out from the summoning array and soar through the air. Undeniably, Bao Bao's entrance was extremely impressive. As a magic attack profession-type pet dragon, Bao Bao's special effects were maxed out. Wrapped in lightning, his wings seemed to be formed from crackling heavenly lightning, with lightning streaks spreading everywhere he passed, illuminating the sky. However, Bao Bao's magnificent entrance was destined to be just a fleeting moment, because after Bao Bao appeared from the summoning array, several more tyrant's attendants emerged from the sand vortex in front of everyone. Bao Bao circled once in the sky and immediately discovered the monster's presence. He let out a happy ang, releasing a dragon roar, followed by the sound of thunderclaps. Without needing any commands from Lu Fan, the battle-loving Bao Bao had already acted. He opened his mouth and released his dragon breath, which transformed into a mighty lightning strike, directly striking the sand vortex. The several tyrants' attendants that had just appeared were naturally enveloped within, not only falling into a paralyzed state from the lightning strike, but their bodies also beginning to crack under the constant lightning bombardment. This should be Bao Bao's skill, Roaring Thunder. It was very similar to Lu Fan's skill, Roar of the Blue Dragon King. Even when Bao Bao released this skill, Lu Fan felt a dragon language resonance within his body, giving him the urge to release Roar of the Blue Dragon King together. Lu Fan guessed that Roaring Thunder and Roar of the Blue Dragon King were probably the same skill. If he released Roar of the Blue Dragon King, it would trigger dragon language resonance. However, Lu Fan did not release his dragon language skill because there was no need to. Although Bao Bao was only level 1 with attributes that were not that high yet, and this skill's power was not as strong as if Lu Fan had casted it. This was still dragon language magic. It was naturally not something the tyrant's attendants could easily resist. While Roaring Thunder's attack power was limited for now, unable to instantly kill these level 65 elite monsters, the paralyze effect carried within the skill left these monsters unable to move. Furthermore, they would be continuously being struck with the lightning within the lightning pool. Bao Bao seemed unsatisfied with having to slowly grind down opponents with his skill. While letting out Roaring Thunder, he also extended his dragon claw in a grab, and a purple-red lightning appeared in his palm, radiating dazzling light. Bao Bao narrowed his dragon eyes, targeting the tyrant's attendant closest to the edge of the roaring thunder skill's lightning pool, and threw the purple, red lightning in his claw. This purple, red lightning instantly exploded, cutting across the sky and striking the targeted tyrant's attendant. Boom! Though lightning was already constantly striking in the lightning pool, when this Heaven's Tribulation skill was released, an even larger thunderclap rang out, which was deafening to the ears. Heaven's Tribulation landed on the targeted tyrant's attendant. Its massive damage instantly shattered its body without any suspense. Seeing the monster get killed, Bao Bao clearly became more excited. Both dragon claws simultaneously grabbed Heaven's Tribulation's purple, red lightning, and he began to wildly bombard the monsters below. The overlapping sounds of the two skills made Lu Fan and others feel the ground beneath their feet continuously tremble. At this moment, all they could see before them was a constantly churning pool of lightning, creating huge explosions in the sea of flowing sand. Above, purple-red lightning continued to strike down, each strike able to destroy a tyrant's attendant. Even after this wave of monsters was completely destroyed by Bao Bao, the lightning pool did not disappear because Bao Bao knew more monsters would emerge from the sand vortex below. This was a monster spawn point, and the poor tyrant's attendants could only appear here, only to get killed. As soon as they appeared, they would be directly slaughtered by Bao Bao. When the second wave of monsters had only partially spawned in, the huge amount of experience points had already caused Bao Bao to level up. After leveling up, his mana attribute surged, making the power of his skill even more terrifying. Looking at Baby Dragon leveling up to level 2, Tao Xiaoman covered her forehead, doubting reality. My goodness, is this really a level 1 pet? This is too much. He is clearly only level 1 yet able to dominate a level 65 elite monster. Lu Fan, you are becoming more and more abnormal. Just what kind of pets do you have around you? Jian Ying glanced at her, appearing quite used to it. Don't you understand Lu Fan's pet dragon by now? Qin Q nodded and said, That's right, whatever Lu Fan does is just normal now, huh? Even if you told me now that he's killed level 85 nightmare bosses with a single attack, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Lu Fan unconsciously glanced at Chun Chu, thinking this girl was quite clever. How does she know I've killed level 85 nightmare bosses? After hearing what the two women said while watching a single baby dragon causing so much chaos, Tao Xiaoman was completely dumbfounded. She knew Lu Fan was strong. But calling this normal, were they not just deceiving themselves? Whose level 2 pet could fully block elite monsters' spawn points and farm them? Bao Bao had not stopped using skills at this spawn point, not slowing down in the slightest. In the sand vortex, tyrants' attendants kept appearing and were continuously destroyed at an extremely fast pace. Later, some level 70 elite monsters called tyrants' attendant corpses also started appearing. After these elite monsters appeared, they only survived a few seconds longer under the baby dragon's wild bombardment. They were still unable to escape their fate of being killed by lightning. Watching Bao Bao fight more fiercely, using skills as if they cost nothing, even people like Chun Q, who were used to Lu Fan's abnormality, became unsettled. Han Ke even actively asked Lu Fan why he could keep using skills without any sign of stopping, even if he was a pet dragon. Continuously releasing such powerful skills, could his mana pool really sustain it all? Lu Fan chuckled and revealed Bao Bao's Lightning Spring Passives panel. After seeing this skill, everyone fell silent. After all, this skill meant that Bao Bao basically had mana pool to draw from. For a magic attack pet dragon, having an infinite mana pool was no different from a Gatling gun with unlimited bullets. Pull the trigger, and it just goes errata, tat, tat, shooting out blue flames like nothing. Who could possibly compete with that? Since she had a mage profession, Chun Q was moved to tears with envy. No, the ones who should really be crying were the monster being blocked at their spawn point, without needing anyone's help. Bao Bao thoroughly enjoyed his time battling here. Finally, until the sand vortex stopped, indicating no more monster would appear, Bao Bao reluctantly put away his skills. His battle-hungry gaze soon turned toward Xiao Ye and the other pet dragon. But he quickly looked away. He was aggressive and loved to fight but was not stupid. After being beaten up by his 3 dragon sisters last time, he temporarily did not dare to provoke them. He knew that his master had brought him to a place with monster, and there would naturally be many opportunities later to show off his abilities. There was no need to seek a beating from his sisters. So, Bao Bao descended from the sky, coming to Lu Fan's side, behaving quite properly. From earlier until now, he alone had farmed about 20 monsters, reaching level 2, and was likely just 1 step away from level 3. Lu Fan was quite satisfied with this speed of leveling. Seems like farming this dungeon instance yields a ton of experience points. It should not take long for Bao Bao to enter his growth period. Xing Chen might even reach her maturing period. Since there are no more monsters here, let's continue exploring this dungeon instance and see where we can find the boss. Lu Fan patted Bao Bao's head and said to everyone. The others naturally had no objections. However, this dungeon instance was too large. Looking around, there was nothing but the endless desert in all directions. They seemed to be in the middle of the desert, and choosing which direction to go first was a problem. Finally, it was Han Kei who noticed that there was a bright spot continuously glowing on the dead monster's body. Lu Fan went over and upon checking it, found it was actually a special item. It was an oddly glowing, clearly enchanted sheepskin fragment. Tyrant's Retreat Route Map Fragments. Mission item, description, collect all map fragments to obtain the Tyrant's Retreat route in the Death Desert Ocean. Current collection progress, 1,500. Lu Fan pondered briefly and immediately understood.